Should Africans brace themselves for a handshake between President William Ruto and Burkina Faso's captain Ibrahim Traore? Well, according to the die-hard Pan-Africanists, the answer is a resounding no. In fact, if you ask the loudest voices on Pan-African Twitter, they will tell Traore to avoid President Ruto like a plague. And they have good reasons. Why? Because in their eyes, Ruto doesn't exactly scream down with imperialism, but the plot just thickened. Now this week, a quiet but telling meeting took place at State House, Nairobi, Kenya. President Ruto, flanked by Kenya's spy chief Noordin Haji, sat down with Burkina Faso's National Security President Oumarou Yabré. No live stream, no press briefings, just still photos and a diplomatic caption from Ruto himself, saying the meeting included a message of goodwill from President Traore. Yes, the same Ibrahim Traore, the military leader who booted out France, raised the Pan-African banner high and got side-eyed by Washington, apparently just sent his regards to the man many Pan-Africanists label a US puppet. Kenya and Burkina Faso have cordial relations that have fostered strong bilateral ties, including diplomacy, trade, cultural exchange, and cooperation in other areas of mutual interest. I met Burkina Faso's National Council of State Security President Oumarou Yabré, State House, Nairobi. He brought a message of goodwill from President Ibrahim Traoré. President Ruto said, "Now, social media is in flames. Some users suspect a trap, others smell betrayal, and a few are asking whether Traore is about to start building affordable housing in Burkina Faso with Ruto-style groundbreakings." The US guy Michael Langley was around in Kenya. We know how he and the West hate Burkina Faso. All of a sudden you are handshaking a Burkinabe. This looks highly suspicious, one commented. But here is where it gets really juicy. You see, Ruto and Traore are like oil and water in the Pan-Africanist imagination. At the dawn of his presidency, President Ruto walked like a Pan-Africanist, talked like a Pan-Africanist, and dressed like one too. The counter suits on point. The anti-French speeches glorious.
Because IMF and World Bank, you have the final say. We don't have no say. We want another organization of equals, where you have as much say because you pay as much as we do because we also pay. That's the organization we are looking for. And that is why we are saying we need a new financial architecture where governance, where power is not on the hands of a few people. How do you persuade the private sector to bring their money for public good? Private sector is driven by profit, my friend. I mean, unless you persuade me otherwise.
For a moment, Africa's young dreamers thought they had found the chosen one. But the love story hit a plot twist when Ruto, fresh off roasting Francis Emmanuel Macron on global TV, was spotted dining with him in Paris.
Guys, I bring you greetings from Kenya, the land of the greatest marathoners, from the youngest continent in the globe. It is wonderful to see you, so many people from around the world, in one of the most historic cities, under the magnificent Eiffel Tower.
Let me give you an example. Traders from Djibouti selling to Kenya, or traders from Kenya selling to Djibouti, have to look for US dollars. How is US dollars part of the trade between Djibouti and Kenya? Why? And we are saying that today, Afri-Exim Bank have given us a mechanism where traders in our continent can trade in their goods and services, and the Africa Exim Bank will settle payments in local currency. That is why Kenya champions the Pan-African payment and settlement system that is done by our own institution, the Africa Exim Bank. Why, members? Why is it necessary for us to buy things from Djibouti and pay in dollars? Why? There is no reason.
Later, after condemning dollar dependency in Africa, he flew straight into Joe Biden's White House, only to return with Kenya designated as a major non-NATO ally, and even offered up Kenyan police for a US-backed Haiti mission.
I thank President Ruto of Kenya, I thank him for his willingness to serve as the lead nation of a UN-backed security support mission. I call on the Security Council to authorize this mission now.
The Pan-Africanist camp didn't just side-eye him, they divorced him on the spot.
I don't know if President William Ruto means it, because he said so many things and I can't locate him these days, because the things he said during election and the things he's doing now are two different things. I don't know, because I heard him saying we need to do away with the dollar and build our own currency, but his actions are not speaking to anything of doing away with the dollar. The latest being putting a red carpet for a murderer, a person who killed the Kenyan people, coming into this country, receiving a red carpet and being saluted by our own army. This is not a Kenyan army, it's not a colonialist army. The Kenyan army is a product of the Mau Mau rebellion, and those who killed our people in the Mau Mau rebellion cannot be saluted by the same army of the children of those who were killed during Mau Mau rebellion.
Ruto is the biggest problem of Africa in this century today. And if he can allow the West to sit in his parliament to oversee their own bill passed in our parliament, then we must be very afraid of him.
I'm here because I want Haitians and black people all around the world to stand up together and lock arms in the spirit of Pan-Africanism. This is the 10th time in 30 years that they've invaded Haiti. And every time that they invade, something bad happens. In 2004, when they invaded Haiti, 8,000 people were massacred, 35,000 children were raped. And on top of that, countless of tens of thousands of children were human trafficked through fake orphanages. The UN is not there to help the people fight the gangs. They are there to keep the people from organizing and getting Aya Only out. That's why he's asking for them to come, so that he can maintain his power.
Traore, on the other hand, is practically allergic to Western diplomacy. He is aligned with Russia, flirted with China and North Korea, and given America's Michael Langley the cold shoulder, especially after Langley accused him of funding his junta with Burkina Faso's gold mines.
So you stand by that statement? Because there's been pressure on you to walk those statements back.
That's my statement. That's my assessment. That is getting worse. More needs to be done. Burkina Faso, a lot of great things going on to progress them forward, okay? But then when you look at the military part of it, knowing that that's the epicenter of global terrorism, it was my time to illuminate that this is probably their weakest point, and there needs to be sufficient resources going towards for the whole fight of terrorism in that country.
So, when Ruto, the man who sat comfortably with Langley just days ago, welcomes a top Traore official to Nairobi and says Traore sent warm wishes, you can hear the Pan-Africanists screaming into their dashikis. Now, the Nairobi meeting secrecy only fueled the speculations. Why no video? Why the top security brass? And why now, when Langley's shadow looms large? Pan-Africanists smell a rat, suspecting Ruto's causing up to Burkina Faso might be a US orchestrated ploy to soften Traore's rebel age. After all, Langley has been vocal about Burkina Faso's gold mine, accusing Traore of funneling profits to his junta regime. Meanwhile, Ruto is still basking in the NATO ally glow, even post-Biden. Traore should be very keen not to trust anyone who dines with the enemies of Africa, once said. So, are Kenya and Burkina Faso building bridges or laying traps? Is this diplomacy or deception? Or are we simply witnessing the uncomfortable truth that African politics, like African drumming, has more than one rhythm? And sometimes those rhythms collide, sync up, or produce awkward silences. Whatever the case, one thing is very clear. If Ruto and Traore ever end up in the same room, the photos alone will be enough to break the continent's internet and possibly a few Pan-African hearts. Because as every self-respecting Pan-Africanist would preach from the Gospel of Anti-Imperialism, chapter 4 verse 6, thou shalt not break bread with imperialists nor their drinking buddies, lest you lose your soul like Sankara and be remembered more for your downfall than your dreams.